This is video number 2. We're Jason and Mickey. Some more tours of our little homestead, farmstead. Show you around our garden and our orchard area. It's pretty sad. First year, like I said in the last video, this is our second attempt at gardening in our entire lives. The first one did not go well. Hopefully this one, it's looking a little better. So we'll give you a little tour around. So we planted some bushes out here. Some golden currant, elderberry, buffalo berry, and some sort of little cherry. It's what our local NRD had. They have a tree program where for $3 you can get some trees in the spring. We bought like 30 this year. We put them out here.
When he says little, he means little. Those are like 12 inches.
Yeah. We put them out here at the edge of our property. They're supposed to get about 10 foot tall. Thought they might make a nice little buffer. Whether or not we ever do anything with them, might be something for jams or jellies. But mostly it's attract different wildlife and stuff like that. You notice they're swatting at bugs today. We got a little bit of rain last night, and it's pretty bad. The bugs are kind of bad right now. Here's another one. This one's actually looking pretty decent. You know, leafing up all right. Then these got nice, great big spikes, so those ought to be fun when they grow bigger.
This one is the buffalo berry?
Yeah, that's the buffalo berry. Those actually looking pretty good a little bit. So those are, like I said, we got about 8 bushes out here.
One of our buffalo berries is looking good.
So we got those out on the edge of the property as a buffer. And then for our orchard, last spring, when we first got here, we planted 2 apple trees. We didn't know if that one was gonna make it. It didn't look great, but it seems to be doing all right. Actually, all of these looked a lot better till last week. We ended up having a small hailstorm last Thursday night. Luckily, we only got about pea-sized hail. There was a lot of it, but it didn't do as much. A few miles to the west or east, they got about golf ball sized hail, and the same, and it really came down. It stripped some of the fields bare around here. It really did some damage, but we lucked out where we're at. So we got the 2 apple trees. That's a dwarf pear, and a dwarf peach. We do want to add some cherry trees. We do have a wild plum that was already on the property. We may get another plum tree because I think they need another one to cross-pollinate. They're not self-pollinating from what I've read, but it does produce fruit. The wild plum does, so there must be something somewhere. And so we do get some little bit of fruit out that. Well, I think she might try her hand at making jelly and jams. Then we're gonna go to our garden. This didn't work out as great as we was hoping this year. We got behind because this was actually gonna be our garden. I dug a pit about 6 foot deep, about 50 by 150. And the idea was we was gonna burn all of our debris, because the one thing we found at this place is getting rid of all the tree limbs and the stuff like that has proven to be a challenge. We've probably burnt twice that much as what's there, and we've hauled off several loads to the local dump, but that gets cost prohibitive. So we was gonna burn in that pit and then fill it back in. And the idea, from what I've read, like I say, we do a lot of this stuff from Google and other YouTubers. We're just learning as we go, figuring out what works for us. And from what the idea was that we'd burn and then fill it in, and it should be good fertilizer. Unfortunately, all this spring, the wind was blowing way too high, and we could not ever burn when we wanted to, when we had a chance. So after about 2 weeks past when we wanted to actually plant, I tilled up another section and we planted in this one. So a lot of our crops, or a lot of our stuff, was a little behind when we wanted to plant it. But then we kind of found out some of the stuff we planted too early We're not real sure. I don't know, we're following the Farmer's Almanac and Google and stuff like that. But it's actually kind of starting to look like a garden. It's
with a lot of weeds.
It's overgrown with weeds. We're gonna do some work on it tonight. We thought we'd show you what it's like before. I watched these other YouTubers, and I don't know if their gardens always look that nice or if they just pretty them up for the camera, but we thought we'd show people this is our real life.
This is tomatoes over here, and then it goes cherry tomatoes, and then we go green beans, which we only had one at the very end survive, and then we have snap peas growing on this one, which again only the far side survived. I think we figured out this side, the front side where we're standing at right now, wasn't getting enough water, and so a lot of our stuff on this side is either small or didn't make it. But then you come to the next side and there's our
zucchini.
I think that's squash.
Is that squash?
Our squash.
Isn't that where you put? Oh, that's where you.
And then we have cucumbers, which only one made it, and then we have our zucchini. And we actually did pull a zucchini off last night. Jason's not a big vegetable fan, so all of the vegetables that come out of the garden I get to eat, but he likes doing the work and stuff. So here is that burn pit he was talking about. It's pretty big.
I heard a chicken. I didn't know if one of them was laying.
Oh.
Our chickens just started laying, and they're not doing a very good job of laying in their boxes. So every day is kind of a little egg hunt till we find out who's all laying. So yeah, this is our garden.
Harvest that we got out of here so far is we did already pick all of our beets out of here, or not beets, radishes. We picked all of our radishes out of here. Jay tilled up all my beets thinking that that was the radishes that I pulled, and I did not. Our broccoli, was been Googling that. It's not doing anything now, but people said to leave it in there, it'd be good roots, and it will come up later this fall, hopefully. And then behind that is cauliflower, and then we have 3 little sad pepper plants.
That one's looking a lot better though since I've been watering.
Yeah, since it's been getting a lot of more water. And then this went carrots and our radishes. This is what we're gonna deal with tonight. And then on the other side of that is all of my onions. And then we decided to go with the roots out method for planting potatoes, which is basically a lazy way of doing it. You slice up your potatoes, get all the eyes dried, you throw them on the ground, and you put straw over top of it. And if it grows, it grows. And the left side of this is where I actually did dig a little bit of a hole in the ground and I put the potatoes in it. And the right side, I just threw them on the ground. So obviously, I think I have to continue to put a little bit of them at least in the ground, because my other side is not doing well at all.
Well, this side, we also dried out the potatoes for almost a week because we thought we were going to get to we thought we were going to plant them a lot sooner, and we couldn't get the straw. And so they were dried out for a week, and they're actually planted about a week earlier than the other side. So we'll know more when we pull the straw back later to see what we got for harvest. But right now it is looking like the one side worked a lot better than the other.
Yep. Like we said, everything that we're doing is kind of trial and error. If we get food, that's great. We are definitely not doing this to sustain ourselves through the winter. It's just kind of, we enjoy doing it, and so that's why we're doing it.
We never really have any intentions of this being a self-sustaining farm or us ever being able to quit our jobs and live off of this. It's not really our intention. We don't necessarily care to do it. We both have jobs we enjoy, or at least don't mind. We have good jobs. So as far as ever quitting to come out here full time, that's not one of our goals. I commend people who do that, but a lot of it looks to me like more work than my actual day job. So I will stick with getting paid to work less than not getting paid to work really hard. So then we tilled this up a couple weeks later. We planted 8 mounds. This was cantaloupe.
You're blank too. I was like, ah.
Yeah. So this was cantaloupe. Only one came up. Well, actually, I think 2 came up, but I screwed up when I was tilling and I missed where one was at and took the second one out These are watermelon. I believe we have 4 plants that actually are growing right now. They don't look great. I don't know why. Maybe they do look fine. I don't know what a watermelon's supposed to look like right now. Here's our pumpkins, and they're actually looking really good. These are mostly being planted so that my wife can decorate with them this fall.
He heard my bill last year for decorating that
Yeah.
wagon out there, and it went a little crazy. So he's like, you know what? Seeds are 99 cents. We'll plant seeds.
Then we have 3 more pumpkins out here that a friend gave us. He grew them last year, and they were like
He said the pumpkin weighed 1,400 pounds.
1,400-pound pumpkins, and he gave us 6 or 7 seeds from it, and 3 of them made it.
3 of them.
3 of them made it up, so I guess we're gonna grow some giant pumpkins. Like I say, this is kind of our garden. We're gonna do some tilling and some weeding tonight. We did go on vacation. It got away from us early because we tilled it one time, threw the seeds in, and it's been pasture or grass for 20, 30 years, and so the grass came back pretty hard. We're slowly making headway.
We haven't used any fertilizer or any weed barrier or any pest control or things like that. So this is literally Jason tilling the ground, us putting the seeds in, and us hand pulling it, and then just basically watering it and stuff. So we're not saying that we won't do something different about it next year, because if we do get a good crop, I would like to have a little bit more food than what we are getting from it. But like we said, this year is just a kind of a trial and error of what works and what kind of doesn't work.
So this is a strawberry and a rhubarb patch. This is a stray cat. Somebody, I think, dropped it off. We seem to have an issue with that right now, or lately, or since we've been here. This is the second one we think somebody's dropped off. I'm getting it tamer. Before we couldn't get within 15 feet of it. Now it'll let me pet it once in a while. But this is our strawberry and our rhubarb. They're not looking too bad. They're getting there. Like I say, it was kind of the same thing. This was an overgrown area, but had this little foundation here. I guess it was a milking barn at one time, many years ago. And according to the previous owner, a tornado came down, picked it up, took it away. And so all that was left is pretty much what you see here. And there was a little, I think the cattle chute, there was a little bit of it left. But we've taken out, it was kind of just crap. So we cleaned it up a little bit. We left that just because kind of interesting.
Also, I'll be able to decorate on it.
Yeah, my wife likes it. And then our rhubarb here. The interesting thing about this, I guess kind of interesting, is my great-grandparents had a house about 6 or 7 miles that way. It'd literally be halfway between my house, our current property, and my parents' house now. But my grandparents lived there for, I don't know, a good number of years. I never knew them. But Dad said that this rhubarb came from their garden there. And I think he said this rhubarb has to be 50, 60 years old or more. But my dad actually took this rhubarb from his grandparents' house and moved it to his house a long time ago. Probably before, when I was young. And that was quite a while ago. And so this rhubarb's been in the family for generations. I didn't know that was even a thing. So that's kind of our little garden tour in our orchard. By most standards, it's not much. We tried to start, we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves the first year because we have a lot of other stuff we have to tend to on our acreage to keep up with the property. So we wanted enough to cut our teeth on it. We may have bit off a little more than we expected. I don't know, everybody says it's a really big garden, but I didn't think it was that big when we planted it. But now taking care of it, it is kind of big. So that's our garden. Well, I obviously missed a garden hose, but the tiller didn't miss it. one, we got a little bit done, got it tilled up. We got a hand weed around the pumpkins and the watermelon, a few of the other rows. My wife did a real nice job by hand. I got the easy job of running the rototiller back and forth. Kind of put a dent in it, but we're running out of daylight. And that seems to be the story anymore. There's more work than there is time. And I guess that's part of it. That's why we're starting slow. So tomorrow night when we get done, we'll maybe give you another quick peek of it. So it's the end of day 2. The camera actually kind of makes it look a lot brighter out than it is. Sun's almost down. I would say after 2 days, we got her pretty much whipped. These don't look great just because we left the weeds that we pulled, we just threw them in a pile in the garden. I'll till them in later at a different day. I probably should throw them out, throw them in a compost pile. But it does look a whole lot better. Ran the hoses back out so we can keep watering. That is one frustrating thing about our property is there's 10 acres, there's 2 hydrants. They're both about 30 feet from the house. So my wife's cleaning the duck pond, her pools. Then we're gonna go in, clean up, go to bed, start all over again tomorrow.